oftentimes our friends aren't acting up because they can't stand our growth. They're acting up because we've been absent.
Even then, your intentions may be in a good place, but you actually don't have capacity to follow through on those intentions.
Damn, I'm sick of feeling like I keep dropping the ball.
Yeah.
But if I keep holding this ball, my arms are gonna fall off.
How do we tell the difference between this is a bridge that needs to be burnt and this is a bridge that needs to be rebuilt?
Right. I think social media has sometimes made us see our friends as accessories to us.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And it becomes, if you are no longer working for me, I don't need you. Go away.
People think that absence of conflict means peace. It doesn't. It just
really
means absence.
Doesn't. Come on. Hello and welcome to the To My Sisters podcast. I'm Courtney.
And I'm Renee, and we are your online sisters and hosts of the To My Sisters podcast.
We are all about promoting the wellness, growth and development of a community of sisters across the world.
And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about the ugly side of friendship.
Ew.
Cutting people off, dealing with hard seasons, all of that jazz. In a world where we put... No, we're not doing that one today.
Wow.
No. You know when there's certain things that you do, it's like, oh man, they're tired of this one. But yeah, I actually wanted to have a real candid conversation on friendships and the ugly side of managing friendships, the reality of cutting people off, when to cut people off, dealing with hard seasons, dealing with change.
Tough times.
But tough times never last.
That's right.
Only
tough people do.
And things are getting tough for people out here. And with that, we'll segue into the ding, ding, ding.
Well, I think we actually have
some housekeeping.
Oh,
man, we got some housekeeping. Take it away, Courtney.
Some real housekeeping. Drum roll, please. To My Sisters live in London 2022. Sisters live shows happening, baby. November 12th. I know Sisters Internationally, if you want to get a flight, come through. But for now, London.
Hello.
London, stand up. Our homegirls, where you at?
You guys need to stand up.
TMS Live is happening November 12th in London, in Rio Cinema. And we cannot wait to meet you all, to dance, to sing, to eat snacks, okay?
We're gonna have
to
some fun.
Watch some stuff, but also to just have a live show, doing the podcast in person with you guys' input. How about that?
This is about to be good. Bigger, badder.
Badder. Tickets are dropping 30th of September, payday. And we wanted to make sure it was on payday so that you weren't breaking the bank. Tickets are cheaper than before, okay? Don't say we didn't hook you up. Don't say we didn't hook you up. Okay. Tickets are cheaper than before, than last year. Shout out to all the girls who caused last year's live show to sell out in less than 30 minutes. Okay. Please come and have a good time. Please come and meet all of the sisters who come to the live show. Some come from all around the UK.
There are some folks, I'll have you know, that have said that they're coming through from all sorts of international destinations, so including Manchester. So for you...
I heard the sisters from Croydon are venturing to come.
A little birdie
They're
told
rallying.
Me that there's some folks coming in from Brighton.
Wow.
Taking flights from Brighton. So sisters that have easy access to London, I don't want to hear, I was at work. I don't want to hear, I was sleeping.
It's a Saturday. It's gonna be a good time. Okay. Honestly, sisters, we want you all to be there. We have a bigger venue this time. It's a little bit daunting for us because we want to make sure that you guys pack it out. We also want to make sure all of you can fit. Last year, we underestimated how many of you actually would want to come because it was our first time. So yeah, this year we won't do that.
If you're a brother listening, buy it for your sister, your girlfriend, your any woman in your life that makes your heart sing or that's important to your self-development or is related to you. Anybody, get them a ticket. They'll thank you later.
A ticket. We cannot wait to see all of you November 12th. Put it in your diary. That's the special announcement.
Another live show. I'm so excited, man.
The last one was so fun.
Yo,
I think the last one was the first time we met people in person.
Yeah.
And You guys are amazing. One thing you will never, ever, ever get from a To My Sisters event or from a sister in the sisterhood is bad vibes.
Oh,
We are all dope.
Actually,
I
all
can
great
guarantee
people.
you there is no way you can come to a To My Sisters event and not leave having met amazing people.
inspired, changed.
You might even have cried.
Oh yeah. Transformative. I believe the word is
and
transformative.
because we leave that way. Like, don't think we're just gassing it up so that you guys can come. No,
For sure,
we
for
leave
sure.
that way. So we can't wait to have that for our sake. That's just some selfishness in
Hello.
there. But also we can't wait to have it for you guys' sake, because you guys bring you bring wisdom, you bring warmth, you bring love, you bring your jokes, you bring your personalities, and it fills up the room, man.
Honestly,
we cannot wait to have all of you there with us. Get your ticket, okay? Tickets come out when? September 30th.
30
Set your alarm.
30 of
10 a.m.
and sign up to the goddamn mailing list.
Oh yeah. Because we know all of you complained last year. Well, the mailing list girls got all the tickets before we did. Well, it was just about putting your email in the box.
Hello.
You didn't do it. Sign up to the mailing list,
giving
because
you
the girls
a warning.
literally the sisters who are on the mailing list get early access to the tickets. If they snap them all up, I don't know what to tell y'all.
There's nothing to tell you.
Go and run there now. It's free.
Don't let
ToMySisters.com.
let us beat you in the DMs,
There you go.
because we've told you
There you go.
multiple times.
ToMySisters.com. Sign up to the mailing list. They will get the link first. Okay. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry.
I'm not.
They
Exciting
get the link
scenes.
first. And you can get the link first. Just sign up to the mailing list.
Yeah, it's going to be a great time. We've got some exciting things up our sleeves for this one. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. Gonna be a firecracker.
You're gonna have a good time.
What can I tell you, Chief? Join the fire. It's gonna be a cracker.
Get ready. But yes, sorry. Ding, ding,
Don't
ding.
be sorry. The dilemma is if you don't come to the show. That's the real dilemma. But moving on to the dilemma. Hey, Courtney and Renee.
Hey, babes.
I just want to thank you for the service you're doing for our community of sisters.
Aw,
I'm loving the
thank
growth
you.
both in myself and in your channel.
Thank you.
This dilemma stems from a sister who is undergoing a lot of change in her life and who has struggled with dealing with change in the past. I've started therapy and things are looking up for me.
Nice.
I'm at the end of finishing my degree at university and I'm feeling more confident as I'm setting boundaries with people as well as myself. I've decided not to break my back for anybody anymore. I'm no longer neglecting / minimizing myself at the expense of people pleasing and fear of judgment.
Come on.
With this process, I've had to cut some people out of my life, even though I've not wanted to. But I also feel like I'm losing people the more I found my footing. I just wanted to ask, how do I differentiate from knowing when I've outgrown people or this newfound me has focused so much on personal growth that I've neglected relationships?
Yeah.
Lots of love.
That is such a good dilemma. So relevant to this
Fitting.
episode.
I
I see what you did there. Okay, you know what? The first thing I would say is, have you welcomed people on this journey with you? Not necessarily for them to have to go on a glowing and growing journey, but the things that you are discovering, the things that have become interesting to you, the things that you're discovering in therapy, discovering about yourself. Have you actually just had good, intimate conversations with your friends? Which have just been, nice to have? Or have you gone on this glowing and growing journey independently?
Yep.
And you haven't welcomed them, even in conversation, to go on it with you? That's when you really get to see, okay, maybe we're not at the same stage yet, but we think similarly, or we're both at least in this period of our lives where we are interested in our self-development, because even if somebody is toxic, they can actually still be very much so into their self-development. They just might have to do a lot more work to get past these behavioral habits than you did, and everyone is just at different stages, and I don't even think saying if somebody is toxic is necessarily the right way to say it, but you know what I'm saying. However, I would say most times when you are on a personal development journey and it does transform you a lot, you will start to inevitably see that you lose a lot of people in your life, especially if they aren't moving in the same direction you are. And it's simply just because you bonded over the old you. And now you're not that person anymore. Not because the old you was bad, or not because they are bad because they're into the things that the old you was also into. It's just that you're not the same anymore. There's no more synergy. And sometimes we find ourselves feeling super guilty about that, the fact that a season of friendship has ended because there is no longer any synergy. But it's okay. Evolution happens, and it's actually okay. Sometimes friendships come to an end, and it will shock you to find that like some people also notice the change, and they're like, you know what, maybe we're not as close as we were anymore. And because I love you, and because there'll always be love there, I'm always rooting for you, but it just won't be from as close, you know, and that's okay. So you're gonna notice naturally some people, there's just gonna start being natural distance, right? And that's actually all right, as long as it's not coming from a place of pride or arrogance. And I think those things are more so just self-inspection. Like, am I leaving these friends because I think I'm better than them? And really just inspect your thoughts. Like, be honest and real with yourself. Do I now think I am better than people because I go to therapy? You know, and some people actually do have that disposition. So really be honest with yourself. And if you're like, no, genuinely I don't, it's just, if I were to still be friends with them, I'll feel like it wouldn't be true to myself anymore, then that's fine. Then, you know, take the distance. Change is inevitable, right? And sometimes we don't all change in the same direction, and that's all right. Like, you have to sometimes let people be free, or you may be able to show people that they can change and evolve with you, and that's also a great journey to embark on with your friends, because that's something you'll have in common. But you can't drag anybody anywhere with you. You can't force anybody to change just because you're changing, and that's okay. Sometimes you do have to grieve friendships, and that's one of the hardest things to have to grieve, because they've been such a big part of your life. But you know what's so beautiful about it is you still have those memories, and you still have the memories of what made it beautiful, right? And now you can move on to make beautiful memories with other people who God is sending you in this season. And that's great. That's absolutely fine. But sometimes friends are just for a season, and that's sad, but it's nice either way. Yeah. How about you?
Wow, that was such a poignant and moving answer. Super holistic. I really enjoyed that. Let me stop trolling. No, genuinely, I love that answer. I think you tackled it on all fronts insofar as maintaining that balance, right? Of being open to maintaining relationships and opening the door to new ones, as opposed to like focusing so much on the cutting people off. I think just as a generation, and it's something that we're going to touch on in the rest of the episode, this like trigger happy cut people off, you know, they're not with my style, with my glowing and growing, I'm getting better, all that kind of stuff, when it shouldn't necessarily always be framed as I'm going up and you're not meeting me there, but we're actually parting ways. And I love that you're talking about the fact that sometimes it's necessary to grieve friendships, because even in that process of, oh, I've cut people off, well, have you actually spent some time mourning that friendship and figuring out like, okay, how and why did we part ways, reflecting on the good, reflecting on the bad, and actually grieving that loss, because it is a loss. So I'm really happy that you touched on that, to be honest with you. And I think it comes as part of the territory as you grow and glow. But as you grow specifically, things will change between you and your friends. And some friends, unfortunately, the changes are so significant and fundamental that the intimacy that you once shared, that was born out of shared experiences or born out of like, you know, convenience, is no longer there. And it's not necessarily always a bad thing. Sometimes it's good for both of you to part ways, and that's okay. So finding your peace with that is necessary, but then also having that opportunity to examine yourself and your disposition, as you mentioned, because there's definitely some folks who, I'm glowing, I'm getting better, and it's just like, are you, if your character sucks?
Questions
all this therapy, and you ain't therapizing that character. So really understanding also the reason why you're cutting these people off as well. Like, is it a straight, you don't understand me, I'm cutting you off, or is it, I've realized we're fundamentally different and it's not conducive for us to be friends anymore? So I think also being very intentional and understanding about why you're cutting people off or why these relationships are ending will also help you in determining whether it's a problem of you or it's a problem of them. Because sometimes it's just sometimes we can be lazy in thinking that we are cutting people off for the right reasons when we haven't actually even ascertained what the reasons were in the first place beyond I'm changing. And it's like, okay, what exactly about you is changing that means that you can't be intentional with this friendship?
This is actually a good point, especially if a lot of us like the idea of telling ourselves, I'm cutting people off, or this friendship has died because they can't handle my evolution. However, there is a trap in the glowing and growing journey that you can fall into, which is becoming so invested in working on yourself that you start to retreat from your relationships. In that case, oftentimes our friends aren't acting up because they can't stand our growth. They're acting up because we've been absent. Like we haven't been intimate with them. And a lot of us go through, we have a whole episode talking about being selfish and taking and reclaiming your time and, doing all these things so that you can invest in yourself. But remember that you are not an island. You're not just suddenly this now completely unattached from all your relationships just because you were working on yourself. You still have to serve, you still have to love, you still have to be there, and you have to be present in your friendships whilst you are still working on yourself. And some friends, rightfully so, they react badly to our evolution because you just left and you showed up a whole new person. But whilst you were away, something's happened in our life. And you weren't there because you were too busy doing you know? And so you have to really ascertain, have I also given myself enough in these relationships and been present enough? Or have I been, an a-hole and, just gone and done this glowing and growing journey by myself? And that's what's caused the rifts in our friendships. I didn't allow people in on my journey. And also I wasn't a part of their journey either.
Yeah. All necessary conversations to be had with the self and potentially with the others.
Yes.
What we did there, community. But no, sending you lots of love, sis. It's beautiful that you are spending time working on yourself and becoming a better version of yourself. But again, it's all about that balance and making sure that, the reasons why you are cutting people off or ending relationships are reasons that are pertinent and necessary for both the growth of yourself, but also the growth of the other people. So wishing you all the best in that journey, sis. And I think it's such a beautiful segue into this conversation, which is the ugly behind friendships. And I wanted to touch on this because in this community of glowing and growing, we speak about community and friendship a lot and changes and stuff. I think it's always important to have a nuanced perspective, and in promoting friendship and sisterhood and talking about, what it takes to maintain a friendship, I thought it would be a good time and opportunity to talk about the real ugly behind friendship and how it can be challenging and hard and testing and what to do in those kind of situations. Because I do think just in interacting with a lot of the ladies, both in person, but just over the course of this To My Sisters journey and thinking about some of the dilemmas that we've had sent in over the course of time, the girls really be finding it challenging. Because friendships hard. Challenging. And that's even a great segue into my first kind of point or question for you, Miss Courtney. What have you found challenging about maintaining friendships as you've grown older?
Oh, everything. Just everything. Honestly, friendships, I wouldn't say they're hard because, we champion relationships here. So I don't want to create this friendships are so hard because at their core, relationships of any kind are simple. Communication, effort, affection. That's literally it, man. Do you get what I mean? But it becomes hard to communicate sometimes because everyone has different communication styles. It becomes hard to give effort sometimes because everybody becomes busy. It becomes hard to be affectionate sometimes because everyone is dealing with varying levels of trauma and comfortability with the idea of affection. And everyone receives affection so differently. I think the biggest challenge when it comes to maintaining or evolving friendships as you get older is everyone is changing. And you also have to adapt the relationship as they adapt, right? And as we adapt. And, sometimes we we can overcomplicate this because it's just, you know, at the essence, that spark that made you friends, whether it was in the school playground or in the office or, you know, at university, whatever made you and drew you closer together, it will definitely bond you together and you adapt over time. But that sentiment and that love and that emotion that is there doesn't really change, right? But sometimes we become over dependent on that feeling and over dependent on, we've spoken about this before, that convenience of we have common ground and we have, you know, schedules which align and we have life circumstances which we can bond over and all of that. But then what happens when schedules no longer align? You know, what happens when you're no longer in the same environment and in the same space? What happens when different life experiences have happened to each of you now, which you both do not have in common anymore? Someone's a mother, somebody is not. Somebody's been married for 5 years, somebody's out here throwing it back on a yacht. Like it's it's like, common ground, where is it? I do think it's important to then lean on this thing which we always say, instead of leaning on convenience, really become intentional. You have to be intentional about building intimacy and all of that, but sometimes that looks like extra effort. And like I said, the challenge with effort is, as we're getting older, everyone's getting busier, everyone is getting more pressed about adult issues, bills, future, 401k, pension, promotions at work. And it's like, damn, how do we actually maintain this intimacy, especially if we cannot give each other the same amount of time as we used to before? And for a lot of us, affection and bonding is so closely attached to time, the amount of time you can give to somebody. So I think these are all the things that you juggle as you get older. There's also another thing, which is changing opinions, right? I may not have the same opinions I had when I was a teenager, when we became friends. Now I have different political opinions, social opinions, religious opinions. This may cause some difference in us because we're not the same person, you know, and we haven't developed in the same way. And both of that now needs to be embraced. So like I said, as you are evolving as people, you're also evolving as people in this relationship. How do we then navigate this relationship in a way that both of us are heard, both of us are seen, and both of us are cared for as well? So yeah, that's what I would say has been some of the challenges. I'm trying to think of any more, but those are most of the challenges that I have faced in adult friendship. Like, it's been interesting, but it's also been really good. I do also think the nature of the way you approach friendship changes generally when you get older. I think the older you get, the more you're like, I'm open to making new friends, but I also know that if I have 2 friends, I got enough friends.
The door is closed.
And it's not even just that the door is closed, it's just more so I don't need as many friends, because this is no longer about popularity, right? Like when you're younger, it's like friendship is a lot about popularity. You want as many friends as possible because you want a wide spanning network. Exactly. Whereas when you get older, you're like, I can have a wide spanning network without calling everybody friend. Whereas when you're younger, it's like the only way for people to get into your network is they need to be your friend, you know? But now it's like, no, you can be my acquaintance, you can be my co-worker, you can be my peer at school, but you don't have to be my friend. So now we're whittling down, what does friend actually mean? And now you're setting standards for what a friend actually is. You realize that you don't need a million of them. You know, and so sometimes some people get moved from friend to acquaintance and, you know, even further out in terms of the circle. And that's actually okay. And you realize that to have a few close friends who you can rely on is enough.
It's enough.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Have you ever seen that meme that's like when you call like your 3 friends on rotation and no one picks
It's
up?
the worst feeling ever.
It's just like, where is everyone?
It is the
where
worst
are my 3
feeling
friends
ever, honestly. There was a day I went to do a campaign. I went to the top of our building to film a campaign, and a part of the campaign I had to call somebody and like have a video call with them. I'm calling all my friends, nobody is answering, and it got to a point where I'm like, I have nobody else to call.
You know, those points make you think, does everyone hate me?
And also I don't have enough friends.
And then when they respond, you're just like, so where were you at my time of
Were
needs?
you
Did you die?
Did you die?
Did you hate me? Like, what did I do? They're like, no, I was actually getting on with life things. You're like, okay,
I am your life. Stop that. No, joking. But honestly, like when Jen finally picked up the phone, I've spoken about her so many times. I was like, oh my God, you picked up first ring. She was like, yeah. It's like, well, all my other friends, where are they? Huh?
Probably dead somewhere.
No, she was in a work meeting.
But yeah, even things like that. I think all of the challenges that you mentioned definitely resonate. Like the speed at which things change and the prerequisite of being able to adapt is long. Is very, very long. The different factors that are coming in at so many different times, and the fact that each friendship requires something different can also be really difficult. Which is why, like, as we approach adulthood, not even approach, we are in the thick of adulthood.
Are we in the thick of it? We're at the beginning.
To be honest,
that's the bit that actually makes me sick.
You know what I think is a scam? This whole get to 18, you're an adult.
Yeah, it's a lie.
Look here.
Personally, even cognitively, you're not really an adult till 25.
If I'm still growing till I'm like 90 something, you guys just wanted to tax us. That's it. You wanted to find the legitimate way to tax us as early as possible. Yeah. Because even now, when folks around me get pregnant, I'm like, that's a teenager. That is a kid getting
But
pregnant.
then it's not.
But then it's not, no. Because if you were able to have a kid, you have some faculties and some activities that were a bit adulty. So it's difficult because all of these different friendships require different things to sustain and maintain that intimacy. Whereas back in the day, because of convenience, everybody's going to school. Everybody gets the same thing, the same experiences and stuff like that. All you had to do was bust a couple jokes or like walk with each other on the way to school and stuff. Have your thing. And it's like, oh, if you're a bit quirky, it's like maybe an individual, conversation somewhere. Now it's like my friends are on rotation. You know what I mean? And it's that intentional effort that actually requires a lot of energy, and that can be hard. As much as we like champion it and we're like, oh, it's a good thing, it's a difficult thing. And it's hard when you have a lot of friends or like multiple friends, as well as you're dealing with your own ish, because life is hard. And it's getting harder. And when you have new players or new factors that come in, like, for example, children or spouses or jobs and stuff that demand the energy that you have, we all have a finite amount of energy, and energy cannot be made. It can only be transferred. Therefore, the amount of energy that you have for your friends must be spent wisely, because again, girl, you can't create new ones. You can't create new energy stores. You can only manage what you've currently got. And it feels as though as we get older, what we allocate our energy to starts to increase. Our bills are getting higher. The energy bills are increasing. Literally. And it's difficult because managing relationships, creating new ones, sustaining them, even closing relationships require energy. And I think that's what I find challenging, because I like having energy. I like being an energetic person, and I like showing up for people and being present. But that presence comes at a cost. And it means that it's going to impact something else. It might be you have to stay up a little bit later to connect with that person, or engage with them at an inconvenient time or stuff like that. And I think in an age where we can't constantly talk about like self-affirmation and focusing and prioritizing on the self, having to make the negotiation as to when is it necessary to prioritize the self and when is it necessary to prioritize my friend before we reach the breaking point is hard.
And it's hard to even discern when the breaking point is, because sometimes you just let things go for too long. I think one thing you learn as you get older in friendship is grace. And not just giving it how much you need it, how much you actually need it. I'll talk from personal experience. Like, for me, handling loads of relationships is actually very difficult. Like, loads of relationships at one time, I get very overwhelmed, and like I'm like a massive introvert in the literal sense of I get energy from just being by myself. So I'm very much like, I'm always just recouping and recalibrating, and then sometimes I'm like, oh crap, I haven't spoken to anybody today. Like, literally, I haven't spoken to anybody.
You ever do that thing when you're alone and you have to say something like, hello?
Yeah, literally. And literally, I'll stand there, I'll be like, when was the last time I said a word? Like,
you know how funny that is?
During the week.
You know how funny that is?
Yeah, and that happens a lot. And transparency moment, a lot of my friends have complained, because I am the friend that just goes ghost, like, and not in a bad way. It's literally just, I will remember, oh crap, I need to WhatsApp someone back, and then I open the chat and it's been 7 days since I didn't like message them, and it's like I didn't even realize this much time had passed. And And I think that there's something to say about, okay, well, what's your capacity? And also, what is your communication style? Because as much as something like texting is very convenient for us as adults, and it's a quick way we can show somebody, oh, you're on my mind.
Yeah.
For some of us, it just don't work. You need to call my phone. And I think there's a maturity that comes with friendship, which is you need to learn each other and you need to be learned. But also, you need a whole bunch of grace, and you need to, I think when we were younger, one thing we did was if somebody did something, it was automatically, oh my God, what have I done wrong? There was an insecurity there, you know, like, oh my gosh, what have I done wrong? Oh my gosh, like, did I say something? Or like, is this, why are they airing me? Like, that's bad vibes. Like, why are they ghosting me? Nowadays, it's like, child, she's probably off somewhere, deep dived into a work project, or you know, her phone is broken, or she's just trying to hustle, you know. And you really can't, when you're older, be like, she's not messaging me because she's a bad person. There's actually so much going on in life. Now, on the flip side, some people will say, no, it's just mad immaturity. Like, you should be able to handle your time better and have time for your friends. I completely agree with that to a certain degree. But I do think, depending on the amount of pressure each person is going through or what their life requires of them, no one season is going to look the same, which means that their recreational time, or the time that they get to show or to bond with their friends, is going to change according to season. And you have to be ready. Even the friend that communicates the most, you know, if I'm ever kidnapped, this is the person I'm going to call, because she's going to pick up any time all day. She's going to go through something one day, and one day you're going to call her and she's not going to be able to pick up because life has gotten in the way, you know. And so it's just having that flexibility of being like, you know what, as you get older, you can't really take as many things personally anymore, but you really do have to be as intentional as possible.
No, I definitely love that, man. It's the intentionality for me that can be so difficult, because even then your intentions may be in a good place, but you actually don't have capacity to follow through on those intentions. It's like, oh, I wanted to, but I didn't.
Yes. And this is the thing, like, with adulthood sometimes feels like a big catch-22 on top of feeling like a scam. Like, it just feels like a big catch-22, which is, there's always something. Like, there's always something to do. And if you decide, exactly, and if you decide, I'm just going to take time to just rest, breathe, just a couple minutes, or just, you know, this evening, it feels like you've let someone down, or you've let something down, you know. And it's like, damn, I'm sick of feeling like I keep dropping the ball. But if I keep holding this ball, my arms are gonna fall off.
I'm about to fall down dead. Then you ain't gonna get no damn response.
How can I message you back if I ain't got no fingers?
If I'm dead, what will
there
you
you go.
You have,
but also it's like,
killed me.
Child, if people are managing to invest time into you, should also try and invest time into them.
For sure.
And it's about having conversations with your friends, which are, what are our expectations here? Like I always say, there will always be 3 things you really need to manage in relationships. Expectations, assumption, communication, right? If I can at least communicate my expectations, I won't have to make assumptions.
Jeez.
But if I make assumptions
trademarked
and I have not communicated anything, my expectations are never going to be met. They're never going to be met. And if I have expectations and I just assume that you're going to meet them without communicating it, the inevitable answer and result of that equation is disappointment. And I'm constantly going to be disappointed, right? And I think the mature thing that we get to do as friends, adult friends, is I have an expectation, I'm never going to assume, and at least I'm going to communicate. This way, I am not going to experience disappointment. Not because you're going to meet my every expectation, but I'm going to give you an opportunity to at least tell me I'm not going to meet your every expectation. But at least I'm clear on what you expect and on what you need as well. And we can come to a degree of a compromise. A lot of us do these very juvenile things. I wouldn't even say stupid. They're just juvenile, which is we just assume so much about our friendships, especially when over familiarity has crept in, especially if you've known that person for a long time. And it's like, actually, things have changed. We are not the 16, 17, 18-year-olds that we once were. This is no more freshers uni night. That's not what we're doing anymore.
I'm so Megan has ruined the generation with that.
That's not, we can't do that anymore. We're 35. I'm not saying you can't be old and not be a hot girl. Exactly. I'm not saying that. 35. But I'm saying at least be on the same page, right? But at some point, for the majority of us, life catches up. And it's really like, hey, sorry, Miss Hot Girl, taxes are due. Sorry, Miss Sweetheart, projects are due. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work.
I'm so sorry, hot girlie.
Sorry, on a yacht right now. They will come and put padlocks on your door.
Bruh, by the time you come back, that yacht is going to be your new house because you have anywhere.
But I can ask them to let you back on and sail the sea. Pirates of the Caribbean style.
Screaming.
They'll call you Captain Jack Sparrow.
I was about to say.
Change your name.
The original hot girl was Jack Sparrow.
But yeah, like all of that happens and life gets in the way and friendship isn't the same. Now, it doesn't mean friendship can't have the same amount of depth. And I think that's another place we go wrong. We think that we're adults now. We don't need friends anymore. Or we don't need friendships with depth and with roots. One thing I realize as I'm getting older is the friendships with those deep roots are just necessary. They are the pillars for the garden that is our life. Like it doesn't, as much as different things sprout here and there and, you know, new fruits are growing here and there, those trees that have them anchor roots, right, in the garden, they are really what's going to hold you down in every season. Okay, no matter what, like these new trees and these new bushes, winter gonna come, they're gonna be frail, the wind is gonna dust them away, but them oak trees, summer, spring, winter, autumn, they're going to be there. And so it's important to still remind yourself that you need the friends that you have, even if they are few and far between. It's amazing to at least have one or two friends who you can call on in a hard time. And those kinds of friendships, and I am saying with my chest that there are friendships that can require more of you than other friendships, and should require more of you, because they will require you to show up, and they can take different forms. You know, we all have those friends who it's like, we can't even talk for 6 years, then we talk and it's like nothing ain't ever. We just pick up right where we left off, you know, and actually that's great. But then there are also some friends who are like, you don't talk to me for 6 years, I'm gonna assume you're my enemy.
Hello.
How about that?
Hello.
So that's when it comes down to expectations, right? What do you actually need from me, and what have I learned from knowing you? But yeah, sorry, I've rambled on.
No. That was actually excellent. And speaking of enemies, moving on to yet another uglier side of the friendships, the amigas, is when the amigas are no longer amigas. They have amigoed.
I think that is the worst one you've ever done on the podcast. And for that, I'm going to have to administer a red card. Absolutely bad. Absolutely terrible. I hope you've even shocked yourself with how bad that was. The amigas have amigoed. Aye! Kai! Renee, that one was bad.
Just a glimpse into what living with me is like.
Never again.
That was hilarious, man. Okay, so we are the generation that talks about the black. I know you can't look at me the same anymore.
Yeah, sorry,
just go on. Me gold.
Because gold is not even a past tense. It's just okay, yeah, go on.
Man. So,
yeah.
You know,
go on.
We're the generation of, you know, black, cutting off friends, all of that kind of stuff. Yeah, burning bridges, all of that kind of good stuff, or rather bad stuff. At what point is it necessary to consider cutting off a friend? And I mean in the extremities, because we've spoken about, you know, some friends, natural distance, it becomes acquaintance type situation, or like just putting some distance between you and a friend into something that is a label that's not as intimate as friend. What about the situations, like when is a true situation in which I got a black,
Yeah.
cut you off.
See, and there's a differentiation that needs to be made, because those friendships where there's a natural like distance and a separation, those friendships fade. It's not even, oftentimes there's never even a definitive end to those friendships. There was never a conversation. There was never a delete my number. You know, it's nothing like that. Oftentimes, even with those friendships, we can't even pinpoint when we stopped being friend. It was just, you know, we were once really close and we're just not anymore. But, you know, it's always good blood. But the friendships where you need to cut things off or burn a bridge is this person can no longer have access to me. And that's one thing you need to remember when it comes down to burning a bridge. It's revoking access. You cannot cross over into this territory. Those things should only really be done when you get in this space, when you get access to me, you are a danger. You are a threat. You are somebody who threatens my future. You threaten my present. You threaten my mental, my physical, my spiritual health. You are, stay over there. Stay over there. Don't want you to have access to me. Don't want you to have access to my life.
Not a restraining order.
No, and that's essentially what it is, right? And it doesn't have to be said in those words, you know. However, that's the feeling. And I think that's what, there is no kind of reconciliation that should be able to happen between you if you are going to take that approach to somebody, which is why I always advise, don't be quick to cut anybody off, because oftentimes just a simple conversation or a simple agree to disagree will prove to you that there is a little bit of reconciliation that can be done there. But if you go off all guns blazing and you cut off a person from your life, it needs to be with not necessarily just good reason, because everyone, you know, has their reasons for whatever, and everyone feels like, you know, I'm the captain of my own life, so I will just make the choice I want to make. Okay, good for you. Right. However, once you cut a bridge, or you burn a bridge or cut off somebody, you can't go back. Like, don't go back. That's for me personally. If somebody was like, Courtney, I'm burning a bridge with you, calm. You ain't never crossing it again. Don't even try to rebuild it.
Don't look for me, I'm not around.
And also, like, it needs to be one of those things of, like I said, it cannot be repaired. There is no reconciliation. There's no reparation that can happen here. And sometimes that's, as extreme as that sounds, sometimes that is necessary, because sometimes people cross our boundaries so much. They will disrespect us so much or do something to us, which is, you could only have done this if you truly in the bottom of your heart hated me. Of course I don't want to be friends with you ever again. I don't even care if you change. The scar is there. No. I can love you from afar. The thing about burning a bridge is I can stand on my island. You stand on your island. I can be happy that I can wave, but you ain't never crossing here.
Absolutely.
And I'm not ever going there. That's all right. Do you get what I mean? That's actually okay. Just because we're cordial doesn't mean we need to have a bridge. We don't need to have a connection.
Yeah.
You know, we can be cordial without a connection. I don't want you coming to me, and I also don't want to go to you. I can cheer you on from afar. I can be happy that, you know, you're alive, but I don't want to be a part of your existence.
Right.
And that's okay.
Wow.
That was
burning
great. A bridge.
That was absolutely great. Because I do think that, especially in today's culture, we're quick to burn bridges, or at least create this idea that if you cross me, burn a bridge.
Yeah.
And I kind of wanted to dig deeper insofar as, like, we've spoken a bit about what are the prerequisites for burning a bridge, cutting off completely and all that kind of stuff. How do we tell the difference between this is a bridge that needs to be burnt and this is a bridge that needs to be rebuilt?
Right.
So, like, because we're so like, oh, burn a bridge, is it a question of the bridge needs to be burnt or work needs to be done in this relationship? How do we tell the difference between that? Okay.
So the first thing is your heart's position, your heart's posture. So once the anger has because a lot of us do the burning bridge thing in haste. It's very much in this moment, I feel really hot right now. I am angry. I am upset. And burning a bridge can take it takes different forms. Sometimes it's not that text message that says, hey, delete my number. I don't ever want to speak to you again. Sometimes it's, I'm so angry, we're in a fight, and then I call you out of your name. Now, for you, that could be, because I know one of your boundaries is don't disrespect me. And a huge boundary for me is honor and respect. And so if you, in your anger, call me out of my name, I don't care that you are angry. Don't ever do that again. You can't talk to me like that again. Bridge burnt. Finished.
Yeah.
And so even if you fight, try your best in any situation. I'm fighting with you, but I can't cross your boundaries. Because once I cross your boundary, that's it. that is red card, foul, sit down on the bench over there, far from me. And that's really warranted. And so I do think it's important to assess your heart posture. So once the immediate emotions have settled down, okay, I feel violated, I feel angry, I feel X, Y, Z, okay, cool, I bubbled down a little bit, maybe a couple, and sometimes you do have to disengage from your friends for a little bit, just to, okay, I need to think. I need breathing room, I need thinking room. Once I've taken that step back and I've now sat down and I've thought about it, is there an ability to have a conversation which repairs this? Or do I actually feel like what you have done, you've gone too far, right? In my sober analysis of this, do I feel like you have gone too far? How have you made me feel? Yeah. And do I feel like you even have any remorse? Do I feel like you even have any understanding of what you have done? If a conversation and genuine effort cannot rebuild this friendship, then the friendship just has to end, right? However, you have to pay attention to your heart posture, which is, are you letting this friend go because you cannot overcome your own ego? This is no longer a question of safety. It's no longer a question of respect. It's, I will not forgive you because you violated me and it made me feel this big. And even if I do feel like you could be sorry, I don't want to hear you're sorry. Yeah. Because I can't believe you did that to me in the first place. Now, one thing I will say about friendships, and this is a huge dark side about the back of friendship, is it requires a lot of forgiveness, right? But forgiveness is only done when there is repentance on the other side, right?
Somebody.
And it's not that I can't forgive you without you repenting. We've talked about this before, about repentance being basically just turning around, doing a 180 and walking in the right direction again, right? Accepting that I've done something wrong, I'm walking in the wrong direction. Let me embrace the new direction, the right one, and walk in that and be committed to that. Even if you are not repentant, I can still forgive you for the sake of my peace and for the sake of who I am. I am a forgiving person, but it doesn't mean I need to let you be intimate with me again. But if I can sense that there is a little bit of repentance in your heart, but I still won't let you close to me, it's probably because of my pride and my ego, right? And in friendship, there is no room for
you have to drop that
and
at the
for
door,
pride.
Boy.
Honestly. So if you sit down and you assess and you're like, I could actually forgive this person and I could tell that they're actually sorry, but I'm struggling to forgive them because I feel violated and like they did something to make me feel small. Well, really assess, do you want this friendship or not? Right? And that's fine, whatever decision you come to. But I do think it's important to have, because I think a lot of people are doing the cutting off and burning a bridge thing out of arrogance. Yeah. It's very much I think social media has sometimes made us see our friends as accessories to us. Yeah. Right? Okay. And it becomes, if you are no longer working for me, I don't need you. Go away. And it's like, hold on a minute. These people need you as much as you need them. Right? They're not accessories. They're not just pets that you keep who obey your every command and sit in the corner where you tell them to sit. They are multifaceted human beings with needs, desires. You have to engage with that. And I think a lot of us, as soon as somebody starts giving us any minor inconvenience or any semblance of inconvenience, we're like, cut them off, because that's the easiest way to get out of a friendship. However, when it comes to this glowing and growing journey, one thing you have to embrace is the fact that your greatest challenges that come from your relationships is actually what's going to enable you to glow and grow. You actually need the people, and you need to stick around long enough to allow those things to actually change and shape you. A lot of us want to be, I want to be more selfless, I want to be more impactful. Okay, but then when your friends put a demand on you, you don't show up and you mark it as an inconvenience. Oh, she's too needy, she just needs me to show up for everything. Oh, my days, Do you want to be selfless or not? And why are you so mad that the people you have to be selfless with are the people who you are in community with? Because you have no problem being selfless when it comes to people who you consider less needy, in need. You have no issue being selfless with people who you consider to be in need. You'll go out, you'll serve the homeless. But if your friend is genuinely going through financial issues, you won't even let them come to you and confess that they're going through financial issues. You don't like to listen. Do you get what I mean? You have to be very compassionate and empathetic when it comes to your friends. And sometimes that doesn't go well with bad character. And so if your friends are doing something, it's like, this is making me feel impatient. You should basically pay attention to what your friends and their inconveniences or their bad behavior is causing to rise up in you.
Yeah.
Because if you realize, I'm actually quite an impatient person. I actually am quite prideful. I actually think I'm the leader of the pack. Do you get what I mean? Like, if you start noticing all of these red flags, maybe it's not a case of cutting them off, but really inspecting what's going on with you. Like, what's actually going on with you and in your heart as well. Yeah.
Wonderful. Spectacular.
Thanks. Sorry, I feel like I took the long way.
No. Please. That's what we needed. Sometimes we need to go the long ways for you. It was really giving going on a tour and showing you about yourself, because I love that you even landed on that point, because we are so quick to say people just need to be cut off. Like, I'm just gonna do me. I'm gonna follow. And the thing about doing life with people, it's funny because for a lot of women, this kind of stuff comes natural in romantic relationships. But in platonic relationships, so rarely do we talk about things like grace and endurance and forgiveness and repentance. It's almost as though we have taken everything that is required to be split across different relationships and dumped it in the romantic bucket, that we now see every other relationship as kind of like an add-on, accessory, secondary. And in becoming older and becoming more mature, and I love the fact that you even touched on the words of maturity, sobriety, being the kind of person that people actually want to do life with, requires you to be able to handle those challenges when they come. It requires you to be focusing on things like conflict resolution. It requires you to think about how you have been behaving in this relationship, even thinking about like cutting people off, or have you inspected how much you may have contributed to potential breakups or contributed to, potential conflicts within the relationships that you have with other women. And I think it's that coupled with giving grace to people that will really allow you to have friendships that stand the test of time. Because if you keep on burning bridges, baby, you're going to be stuck on that island with nowhere to go.
And you're going to be so deceived into thinking you burnt all these bridges because the other people are toxic.
The common denominator
is you.
Hello.
It's you.
Hello.
If you burn a bridge to everybody else, no one's going to get to you. Like, no one's going to get to you. It's not just no longer, I don't want you to get to me. It's also the people that you need aren't going to be able to come to you.
You will be doing SOS and ain't nobody going to be able to find you.
No one can actually come. And that's the challenge. Like, I love that you mentioned that point. Because if you keep burning bridges in an attempt to escape having to do the mature work that is learning how to communicate, learning how to address your expectations, learning how to resolve conflict, learning how to actually love, learning how to forgive, all of these mature things. If you do it because you're avoiding doing all of this, not only would you have burnt several bridges, you will not have a clue how to rebuild a bridge. You won't know how to build a bridge in the first place.
That's really good.
A lot of us become so like, I'm cutting off all these people. Okay, you're burning all these bridges, but do you actually know how to build a good relationship? Or are you the person who only knows how to tear things down? Wow. You only know how to end things. You only know how to end things in conflict. You actually don't know how to resolve. And these are often the people who do not know peace. Let me let you know something. No. Let me know you know something. Hello. There are a lot of people who are cutting off every single person in their life at any minor inconvenience, and they still don't know peace. They still don't know peace. You're cutting off everyone who you think is, oh my God, my enemies are after me. Everybody's a hater. Okay, after all your haters are gone, do you still have peace?
Yeah.
Do you still have peace? No, because you don't know how to build these things.
Bruh.
You don't know how to build good things
and that's
for
the
yourself
thing,
and
the
for
assumption
others.
that it's always people that will bring you peace rather than being a cultivator of peace.
There you go.
These things, when I think of like joy and happiness and peace, these things are not simply brought in by the fact of people's presence. You have to work and you have to decide to be peaceful.
Yeah.
Even in the midst of conflict, people think the absence of conflict means peace. It doesn't. It just
really
means absence.
Doesn't. Come on.
Okay.
Come on.
I'm just so sick and tired of the fact that obviously it's good to have expectations and standards for people, but we have such high expectations and standards for people to the point that they're no longer people.
Yeah.
People are actually flawed.
Yes.
They will fail you at some point. You might not even expect it. They will fail you. The question is, what will you do when they do fail? And what will you do when you fail them? Because I think there's also this assumption. Sometimes we can be too much on our high horse of, I've been the perfect friend. I've always been there. You know, they're always taking advantage of me. You've been there long enough for them to take advantage of you like this.
And this is also the story you're telling yourself.
Hello.
But they have a story that they're telling themselves. And in their story, you ain't the perfect picture friend that you think you are.
Thanos. Okay, you're Thanos.
There we go. That there is an ease in our ability to have a lot of empathy for ourselves. I know why I didn't do X, Y, Z. I was tired. I went through this. But they were tired. They went through stuff too.
And also sometimes you don't even communicate this, right? It's the whole, I was going through this. Why can't she see? It's the familiarity sometimes that can absolutely ruin relationships.
Telling you.
She knows me. She knows this is the way I behave. She knows me. This is the way I react. Just because she knows you, that doesn't mean you have to abdicate your responsibility to be a good person.
That's the thing. With adult relationships. no. Biggest man thing. Like with adult relationships, and in this time right now, I feel like not enough people put enough emphasis on the need for reciprocity and responsibility. These things don't just magically happen. You actually need to give what you expect to receive. Hello. And you also need to be responsible for cultivating and nurturing the relationships which you've been given the privilege of stewarding. People aren't here to dance for you. They're not doing dance for your uncle. They're not here they're not clowns. They're not your minions. They're not here trying to make sure and ensure that you have a good life. You're not a baby anymore. Grow up. The same way these people have been brought to help nurture you and help nurture the relationships, you have to do the exact same thing. And if you don't give, you don't receive. It's simple.
That's it. It's simple, man. It's difficult, but it's actually pretty straightforward. You know what I mean?
And it comes down to, and this is something we were saying in one of our journal corners when we were in Tanzania. We had like a journaling session and we were talking about the friends that we wanted and the friends we wanted to be. And oftentimes a lot of us talk about the friends that we want and we're not willing to actually be the friends who we want, right? We're not willing to give it.
There we go.
But even when we have decided, no, I am going to give it, we allow ourselves to be too shaken and we allow ourselves to waver and to be too inconsistent in our character because we decide who we want to be based on whether we consider the other person deserving. Instead of deciding, no, this is just who I want to be, right? I want to be a patient person in everything. I want to be a selfless person in everything. I want to be someone who's loving and kind in every context and in every circumstance. So even if you come and you are bad to me, the reason why I'm going to burn this bridge is I don't want you to pollute the good and fresh water that is here. Right. And also, I want to keep my hands clean.
I wanted to end this episode on a more practical, slightly uplifting note. And that's dealing with friendship breakups and dealing with lack of closure, just dealing with friendship passer. What are some of the ways that the sisters can overcome some of these challenges in their friendship, platonic relationships?
You know what? I think the first thing is communication. Like, okay, let's sit down and let's have a conversation about this and let's see if we can actually come to a resolve. But if we can't, let me at least express, this is how I'm feeling. I want to actually understand your intentions behind your actions. But yeah, this is just being honest, and there needs to be a lot of room in your friendship for honesty and just confession. And this is just honestly speaking, this is how I'm feeling. And then the next thing is, once or if things do end up breaking, actually taking the time to grieve, actually taking the time to be like, you know what, that was someone in my life who I loved. That was someone who played a big part in my life. And they're not here anymore. That looks like crying sometimes. That looks like immersing myself in community with other people. And just kind of saying goodbye, you know, but also realizing that that person's always going to be a part of you. They're always going to be a part of your memories, and that's okay. But if you are in a situation where your friendship is just riddled with conflict and backbiting and all the things that inevitably lead to a friendship breaking up, the first thing is actually identify the incidents, like things that you can actually point to where it's like clear as day to you. I didn't like that. That rubbed me the wrong way. And before these things fester in your heart, bring your friend to the side or sit her down or whatever it is and just be like, hey, when this happened, this is actually how I felt. And I wanted to understand what was going on there or why you did that. And I wanted to let you know that this is how I was feeling. Before they fester, right? The longer things fester, the uglier they get, boy. Honestly. So have these conversations, an open line conversation as soon as possible. And when it comes down to friendship passer or things that are just going left real quick, like I was saying before, just try and keep your hands clean. You know, if somebody's doing something that's like, whoa, you're hurting me, don't just take the knife and start stabbing them too and start hurting them too. It's never going to do anything positive, not for you anyway.
Absolutely not.
So take time to just be like, you know what, before this gets too far, before I drag myself out of character, before you really put the nail on the coffin of this friendship, let's actually sit down and talk and see where this is going. And it may require a few visitations to this conversation. There may be some relapses here and there, but definitely play it by ear and see, okay, is this friendship going in the right direction? Can I see some effort to change here? And if not, and if this friendship keeps drawing the worst out of me, maybe we're approaching the end, and that's okay.
This is so emotional, man. These things are hard. Friendship breakups hurt, man.
100%. Actual heartbreak. Especially
when it's someone that's been like really close to you and like you've been like super intimate. It can be challenging dealing with it. And I love that you mentioned those steps, especially on communication.
Yeah.
Because often it's the things that are left unsaid that hurt us the most.
Honestly.
Hurt us the most.
Yeah. How about you?
I pretty much agree with most, if not everything, not even most, everything you've said. I love the communication point, obviously. I think it's as much as you can and as soberly as you can, try and communicate your side of the story and also leave space to allow them to communicate. Yeah. Sometimes we can kind of go in with friendship breakups and be like, you did XYZ to me and you hurt me, without saying, okay, maybe there may have been points during this friendship or during the relationship breakdown where I haven't been 100 and I'd actually like to know where I also messed up too. Yeah. So it does require a certain level of maturity and an openness to understanding that there are places where you may have messed up as a friend as well. And I think it's also leaning into the other friendships that you may have as well. Yeah. Sometimes when it can be so tempting to dwell on the fact that this particular relationship went wrong, but I'm sure there's other relationships in your life that are a lot more positive. And if anything, this can be something to really spur you on to, okay, this didn't work out, but I've got a lot of people around me or other people that I can invest in, and potentially this can be a more positive experience for 100%. Me. So using this as kind of like okay, cool, learning curve for other relationships is also a great way to kind of, take your mind off of it, or at least transfer that energy to something that's a lot more conducive and positive. So that's something that I would add. And also doing things to like take your mind off it as well. Like, I don't know about you folks, but I'm an overthinker, and I will overthink this like a friendship breakup. I will overthink that to death.
It will stop you from sleeping.
What? You'll be out here in the cold listening to heartbreak songs. You'll be out here doing all sorts of nonsense and rubbish. And sometimes it's just necessary for you to do other things that you enjoy to take your mind off like the breakup.
That is such a good point. Like Skillshare. If you actually, no, honestly, Skillshare is a great place that you can actually find a new hobby or something that you can do to take your mind off of these things. Skillshare, if you didn't know, who was sponsored some episode in the past, shout out to you.
Shout out to Skillshare.
It's an online learning community with millions of members, amazing people, all right, learning from over 150 countries in the
Crazy
world.
scenes.
All right. You have different classes on there, from creativity to public speaking, anything to help you sharpen any kind of creative skill, or just something you're thinking about dabbling into, or maybe something you just want to explore as a bit of a time thing, you know, just to keep yourself occupied, keep yourself focused on other things. You can find it on Skillshare.com. Now, Skillshare is an amazing community of people teaching other people things that they have mastered. And it's actually really beautiful to see. You have thousands of classes on there, and we have actually taken classes. We've spoken about it in previous episodes, but I was recently looking at a class by Eugenia Washington, who was a past America's Next Top Model contestant. When I saw her on there, I said, what are you doing, Ariana, what are you doing here?
Screaming. Not her on the Skills of
yeah, she's on Skillshare, and she has this class called Confidence for Creatives, 5 exercises to help you build confidence and self-care. And I think it's lovely that Skillshare helps you find not only content and classes and community around skills, practical skills that you can use to level up your side hustles or your career, but actual things that help you invest in your self-care and your wellness. I think that's an amazing balance, especially for people who are looking to grow and glow. Well, actually make sure you're taking care of yourself in the process. So shout out to Skillshare for doing that, and shout out to Eugenia Washington, because when I saw her face, she looks impeccable, first of all, and the class is good.
Those America's Next Top Model, I can't lie to you, lots of the contestants are just aging beautifully.
Some of them badly, but beautifully, and she is one of them. She's one of them, and she aced presenting that class. Like, it was actually a really, really good class.
I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah, Confidence for Creatives.
Gonna check that out.
So if you would like to check it out, or any of the thousands of classes that are on Skillshare, you can do so using the link in the description, because you'll be able to get 1 month free. Only the first 1,000 people though. Don't be cheeky. Okay. So if you check out the description, you will find a link there to get 1 month free access to Skillshare to browse. There's not going to be anything off limits from you in that 1 month free trial. So why not give it a go? All right. Watch all the classes you want. Spend some time healing from heartbreak if that's what you're going through right now. But yeah, check out the link in the description here on YouTube to go directly to that offer. It's only for the first 1,000 people. So be quick. All right. Thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring this episode.
Honestly. But yeah, definitely doing those kind of activities to redirect that energy that you have towards something that's a lot more conducive and will actually help you in the long run can be a great way to overcome, or at least occupy yourself during the process of a breakup. And definitely, if there's other resources at your disposal, other communities, it might be the To My Sisters community, it might be your faith community, it might be your family community, it might be your friends, but really standing on these communities and these other parts of yourselves during the breakdown of a relationship is necessary, because it 100%. Reminds you that your whole world was actually not that relationship. That was only, again, one of my favorite like metaphors or analogies or whatnot is these relationships are planets in your galaxy. This one has exploded. There's still thousands of other planets in your galaxy.
You can explore.
Go to those ones, explore them whilst we deal with the wreckage of this planet. That's what I would say.
I love that.
Oh, the ugly side of friendship. But sisters, there's a beautiful side too. There's a beautiful side.
But I actually want to hear your thoughts. Like, I want to hear all the sisters. Please leave below if you've had an ugly friendship breakup, or you have dealt with some passa when it comes to friends. Okay,
we want to hear the wild stories.
We want to hear the stories.
Please.
We want to hear your wisdom. We want to hear what you've learned, what you've gained. Some of you are mad. Just put that in the comments too. Like, actually, just put your anger. Just use it as an open forum. We'll be there. No names though, because if you get into a fight, we can't back it.
Last question that I have for you. What's the wildest thing you can remember that a friend or
cheating on me with my boyfriend?
Yeah,
there you go. That I'm taking that to the grave. Unless you, Rene Kapuku, do something to me, I'm taking that one to the grave.
My sister. No, I'm trolling. No, that one was not. I would never.
Did she just give you a teaser to her breaking up our friendship? Ooh, this is not foreshadowing.
I would never intentionally harm. I've told Courtney if anyone harms Courtney, however, that's world star hip hop. Let me get my.
What about you though?
My worst thing. I don't know, you know. I don't think I've had anyone.
You've had good like
I've actually had
friendship
good friends.
experiences. 100%. I've been the one with the trifling ones.
I think that one.
I've been through things.
Yeah, you've definitely
with
been
people.
through things. But do I have? But that's because I don't feel like I had a lot of friends growing up. It's only
Fair
more
enough.
recently that I feel like I have
You've had
more
a lot of
friends.
Yeah, fair enough.
But worst thing, nothing that like stung that badly. I've had like some moments where I'm just like, ooh, you are a nasty piece of work.
Fair enough, but not.
No.
That's nice. I like that.
Yeah.
Trauma free.
Love it.
This
happened when I was like a little kid though.
Okay.
Somebody that was meant to be like my best friend actually turned into my bully and then got the whole class to bully me.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
that was sad.
Yeah, you've told that story in the podcast.
Yeah. That was sad.
Oh, man. But you made it out stronger.
We made it out. But we want to hear all of your stories, sisters. What are the terrible, terrible friendship experiences that you have had? Who has been a trifling A double snakes?
Oh.
HOE.
Oh. Oh, not the bad word.
I don't want to get any strikes on YouTube. You know how funny they be doing
not
that.
The bad word.
Limited views or whatnot. But sisters, drop it like it's hot in the comments. We would love to know. And of course, you can drop it like it's hot all over the socials. At To My Sisterhood, literally everywhere. Don't share those wild stories on LinkedIn though. Keep it professional.
Your employer will see it.
Keep it professional. Keep it professional. But follow us on all of our platforms: Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn. We are everywhere. Of course, you can follow us on our individual pages: The Lovely, The Stunning, The Storyteller at CD Boateng. And of course, you can come and follow me at Renee Kapuku.
We love to see it. And make sure you sign up to our mailing list.
I've told you.
Honestly. Not only will you get weekly glow and grow tips, throw that one out of the window.
Tickets.
That exclusive access to the tickets. This should be your number one priority right now. Go and sign up to the mailing list on our website, tomysisters.com, and you will get early access when the tickets drop on the 30th of September. You may even get access to it before that. All right, don't worry, we've got your back. Yeah. So make sure you sign up to the mailing list. Make sure that you plug into everything that we are doing. We hope we see you at the live show, sis. Okay. We hope you've enjoyed this episode. But most of all, we hope you have an amazing week. Okay. So as always, keep glowing and growing.